Welcome to Bald Guy DIY. In this video, I'm making a water drop lamp to ward off this rainy summer and wish those raindrops away. I am so sick of all the rain that we've been getting this summer, but instead of canoeing down my street, I'm going to make a water drop lamp to celebrate the occasion. And this is a great decorative lamp that can be used outdoors or inside, either in a garden or mounted in a pot, and it'll look great. Let's get started. For this project, you're going to need a watering bulb, some 3/4 inch pipe, a 90-degree elbow, a faucet head, a flange base, and some LED string lights. I started by stuffing the string lights down inside the watering bulb shaft. Now I used a skewer here to tamp down the lights so that they would slide in there better. Make sure you're ready to put them in because there's no doing it a second time. You'll have a really tough time getting them out again. It's always a good idea to try them before you do it, just to make sure that the lights are working correctly before you put that time and effort in. Next, I'm going to mark one of the wires with some red tape so that I can cut them and I'll know which wire is which when I go to reconnect them again. LED lights are polarized, which means it matters which lead you connect the positive and the negative of the battery to. By marking it, I'll make sure that I won't mix them up when I go to reconnect them. Next, I'm going to modify the faucet so that I can feed the wires through. I start by removing the actual valve mechanism and then feeding the wires through the cavity so that they're sticking out the other side. Now this was the hardest part of the whole project, getting the wires to feed through because they really do not want to go around those steep bends. But a little time and practice, a little bit of patience, and eventually I got them through. Now the next part of the project is to set the valve in the correct position. Now I put some silicone around the threads so that when I put it together I'll be able to lock it into place, and when it cures you won't be able to turn the handle very easily. Now I want to be able to tighten the faucet only so that I can still slide the wires through. If you tighten it too much you're going to crimp the wires or possibly even cut them, in which case your lights aren't going to work. So be careful as you put them in place and then set the cap so that it locks it into position. Make sure the wires still slide and you're good to go. Next I'm going to make up some proto putty. And this is just 100% silicone mixed with cornstarch and a bit of water in order to cause the reaction of curing. So you just add a bunch of cornstarch and keep mixing it around until you get rid of the tackiness on that ball of silicone. Once the proto putty is completed, I then use a chunk of it and work it all around the inside of the head of the faucet. So then you're going to be able to pack it in real nice and tight so that it fills the voids, covers the wires, and really gives a good grip to the bulb itself so that it will stay suspended once it all cures up. I use the skewer to tamp it down a little bit and to form it around the edge, and once it's dry, if there's any excess that gets in the way, we'll be able to trim that off. I left it to set, put it aside, and now I can work on the wire. I'm going to need to extend the wires here, so I just cut away the jacket. I'm using some landscape irrigation wire here, and so I'm just going to move the wires that I don't need aside. I'm going to use the red and the brown leads, so I simply strip away the ends and exposing the bare copper. I'm also going to strip the ends on the battery wires so that they're ready to connect as well. Once it's all cured up, I'm now going to strip the ends of the wires protruding out of the faucet so that it's ready to go, and then I'll be able to put the rest of the pieces together. I thread on the 90-degree elbow. You need to be careful that your wires don't get caught up inside there and keep twisting and twisting because that'll possibly even damage them. So as you go, you need to make sure those wires aren't getting twisted up. Once again, I need to use tweezers to pull them out and make sure that they were nice and straight. I tried Moretz, but I ended up having to solder these little wires together, which made it a lot better connection. So here I'm just tinning the leads and then adding some solder in order to secure them. Then I use electrical tape to wrap around. This is such a low voltage, only 4.5 volts. It really isn't going to take much insulation. Wrap a little bit of electrical tape around one of the leads and then join them together. Then I'm ready to slide on the long straight pipe and thread that in place as well. and then I thread on the flange at the base, which is going to give us a nice support in order to anchor the lamp inside. When it's all done, it stands up, and that's basically what the lamp is going to look like. Now I need to solder up the battery wire to our extension cable, and once again I'm just tinning the leads and connecting them. And then I'm just going to insulate it again with some electrical tape. Now my plan is to use this lamp in a different way down the road, so I'm not too worried about a completely finished cosmetic look here. You could definitely put some shrink tube on there or anything else. Test it out, it still works. Now I'm just going to put some rock base into the flower pot that I'm mounting it in, and then I'm going to add extra rocks around the flange in order to support the lamp and make it nice and sturdy inside the pot. I accidentally switched it on. Also mounted the battery box off to the side of the pot, and as I filled it in with rocks, you can barely see it, but it's still nice and accessible. And here's what it looks like in some semi-darkness. Now I'm going to finish the look of the thing by painting some brown semi-gloss paint. That's also why I chose the brown silicone, is that it will blend good with the paint and then I don't have to worry about getting every little bit of it. Now that it's touched up, you can see it looks nice and uniform and much more decorative. I wasn't happy with the completely straight pipe, and so I decided to dress it up a little bit. I looked on Thingiverse and found some models for spiral vases. I thought this would work great, so I found some solid models and simply put a hole through the middle of the vase that was big enough to fit the pipe. Then all I need to do, print them out, slide them in place, and they'll decorate that straight pipe. It should add quite a nice dimension to it. I find that the 3D printer comes in handy so many times. Just time and time again I think of ways to use it and to incorporate it in my projects. Maybe you get sick of seeing 3D printing in everything, but it really is the way of the future because there's always a way to use it in anything that you're making. With that done, I added a coat of paint, and now you can see the final result, everything together, and the decorative vases put onto the straight pipe. I hope you like it. You can see how this project really is perfect for even the beginner do-it-yourselfer, with just a few simple components that you might use for other purposes and turn them into something that you can show off in your garden or home. I hope you take some inspiration with it, dress it up with your own garden bulbs, and turn it into the project that people will be oohing and awing over. Now, if you like the projects we're doing, please consider subscribing, tell your friends and family, leave us a comment below telling us what you'd like to see next or giving any feedback on how you think the channel is doing. And until next time, on your rainy days or sunny days, in all your DIY projects, don't be afraid to be bolder.